You know, every single time I turn on this game and I see it in motion, I'm just speechless at the level of quality on display on my television. It's unlike any other game that I played, and it's not so much the art direction that gets me, it's the sheer quality of everything going on in this game world. And graphics are definitely, not the most important thing when it comes to the gameplay experience. Obviously, the game has to play well for you to enjoy it, but, there is something to be said about games that push the boundaries of the technological spectrum, and ones that really take the time to immerse you in their world and just craft this magnificent, beautiful, just incredible space for you to explore. And it's weird because I'm at a crossroads with Anthem, because although it's so beautifully rendered and everything, you can see that there's an amount of care and attention put into this game's visuals that are simply unmatched in the industry. As great as games like God of War and Uncharted look, this was really the first game that I played that I inherently thought that I was playing a next generation game, a game that was only possible to run on the PlayStation 5 and the next box. But when I see this game in motion, obviously it's running on current gen hardware, although not that great. I'm just so amazed here, because it's like you have characters, character rendering here that is rivaled by some of the excellent, games like, let's say Quantic Dreams, like Detroit Become Human. We have character models here that are rendered beautifully, and then we have environments here that are just gorgeous to behold, with sharp, clean texture detail. Everything has like a CG look to it. And even after I've been playing it for now over a week, I am still in sheer shock every single time I turn this game on and just explore the world, or just playing the main story missions, whatever. It's just amazing to see this game in motion. And that is the one thing that I feel this game does far beyond any other game that I played this generation. It really is a next generation experience from a visual standpoint. Unfortunately, it sort of stops there. Now, this is BioWare's. This is their first new IP in years. I think over a decade, actually. And I got into BioWare games kind of late. My first BioWare game was Mass Effect 2, and I heard how great the Mass Effect series was, and Mass Effect 2 had just come out at the time, and I was very hesitant, because I was just sort of getting really heavily into gaming, and I wasn't really down with the whole RPG thing yet. I was just I was starting to explore my explore the spectrums of all of gaming has to offer, with all these different experiences. And I remember that I said, you know what? No, I'm going to take a chance on Mass Effect 2. And I bought the game on my Xbox 360. At the time when it launched, it was a 360 exclusive, and PC, I guess, if you want to count that. And I remember I put it in my console, and it was one of the best games I played for since a very long time. And still to this day, Mass Effect 2 is held in high regard as one of my top 5, top 10, whatever, favorite games of all time. It is just a fantastic game from an action, story, even a visual standpoint. It still holds up today. And ever since that, I went back and I played the original Mass Effect. I was super excited for the Mass Effect trilogy, and although it didn't end how how all of us thought it would end, and be as wide a variety of an ending as we were promised, it was still a very good game in my opinion. And I still have yet to actually try out the Dragon Age series. I have not actually. I was interested in Dragon Age Inquisition when that game came out, but just sort of fell through the cracks. But I guess I will try the next Dragon Age that's coming out and see how that is. But I went into Anthem here hoping that this game would work as both a multiplayer and single player experience. Because when I played the beta, in fact, when I played the alpha for this game, I was very impressed with what I played, because BioWare was doing what no other devs were doing for this type of game franchise. What most developers do for this type of genre of games, like the Division 2 and Destiny even, although I think Destiny 2, they kind of fixed this, was they actually gave your character a personality, who actually has a voice in this world, who can talk to people and interact with people. There's dialogue options. And what was really cool is in the main hub area, it's completely single player only. You're blocked off from multiplayer from seeing other players, like in Destiny 2, the hub area where people are jumping around and stuff like that. You're completely in the hub area for this game. You're just by yourself, and there's a bunch of NPCs to talk to and interact with. And I like this element of the game. On top of that, BioWare also gives you the option to play through each mission as single player only. You don't actually have to play with other people, although the game still requires you to be connected to the internet, obviously. And that's really what I want this review to be, all right? This is not a review on the whole entire game experience, but rather just my impressions up to this point of me playing. And I did play this game specifically as a single player experience only. And I'm going to be giving my thoughts as a person who tried to play as much content single player as possible, because I really feel like that's when you can really test the quality of these types of games. I feel like a lot of people cannot differentiate the difference between having fun with your friends versus having fun with the game on your own, because if the game is fun to play, you should be able to enjoy yourself playing it by yourself. But a lot of times what happens with these types of games is there's very little substance. It's a very thin layer of beauty and gameplay, and then they rely on your continued support because, you can join with your friends and get into a party, But I'm sitting here, I'm almost 25 years old. A lot of my friends are grown up. No one really has the time to jump into a multiplayer game for hours on end, and we all play at different times. We all have jobs and other responsibilities that we have to do. And as much as I look back at multiplayer gaming, from back when I played Halo 3 with my friends, I miss those days, yes. But you have to come to terms with reality here, and as you grow up, there's less and less times that you have with your hobbies, and unfortunately that also means your friends as well. And so when I'm playing Anthem here, even if I wanted to play it with my friends, it'd be very rare to actually find them available at the same time that I am. And on top of that, I don't want to play it with randoms. That's not fun to me because, we're not communicating. Most people are assholes. I don't want to go on another tangent like that, all right? But I want to get down to basically the gist of what I'm telling you there is that I tried to play this game purely single player only as much as I could. Besides the footage that you're watching right now is the free roam footage of me just kind of going through the world without a specific mission. These you're forced to play online. You can actually not free roam the entire game single player, unfortunately. I think that kind of sucks. But regardless, let's get on, all right? So you saw me lush over Anthem's visuals early on in this video. In fact, this game, it's really there's frame rate drops on all the consoles, right? With the PlayStation 4 Pro version, I believe, running the smoothest out of all of them. But this game is so powerful that I actually couldn't get a lock 60 frames per second regardless of the resolution that I chose, and unfortunately, we're still waiting on some updates for the game, like SLI patches to come. That's been confirmed, but it's still in the process of coming, so we have to sit here and wait for that to come. So maybe I will be able to play in 60 frames per second one day, but this is not one of those games I really feel like I'm going to be sticking with. This is a perfect tech demo for a game or for a new graphics card that I'm buying for my computer, or just when I want to show people the power of video game visuals and how far we've come. This is one of those games that I would show. But basically what I had to do is I played this game at 1440p, which is still a high enough resolution for me. It looks really good. It scales well on the 4K TV. And for the first time ever, I never done this for a PC game ever, all right? For the first time ever, I had to lock this game at 30 frames per second just to get a consistent frame rate. That is how powerful, how much power this game requires you to run. And I've seen people who have the new 2080 Ti's that are trying to play this game at 4K, and even it has dipped below 60 frames per second on those top end cards. So it just goes to show that BioWare built this game to really scale well with future hardware. In fact, probably the next generation of graphics cards will probably be able to run this game at the actual frame rates and stuff that we would like. But with the current gen hardware that we have, I just think that the sheer amount of graphical horsepower, the way that they built this world, all the streaming, the character model detail, everything is just it's just too much to handle. All right. So everything else about Anthem, however, is kind of shallow. And this is what's really unfortunate, because this is BioWare, one of the masters of storytelling. And if anyone could actually do a game like this justice, it's BioWare, right? And when Anthem was announced, I mean, yeah, I was disappointed that they were going to focus on a more, service-based multiplayer looter shooter, whatever you want to call it. That was obviously kind of disappointing to me to hear. But I sat there and I thought to myself, if anyone can actually do one of these games right, it's BioWare, because of their experience with actual great storytelling and great gameplay, and just the masters of creating a game with lots of variables in terms of its combat system and its story structure. They could actually do a very good job. Yet they seem to fail on almost all aspects besides the visual standpoint here. I mean, yeah, the game is fun to play. There's nothing wrong with the controls, I will say. And the game, I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say the game's not fun, because it is. It's fun to go in here and shoot around, but you don't really have much variety in what you're doing. This is one of those games where it feels like it's just padding you along to progress through the story. It's not like, oh, infiltrate this area, maybe do it stealthily or blend in with the enemy. It's just go here, kill a bunch of guys who spawn, go here, kill a bunch of guys who spawned, protect this guy while he opens up this chest, like this normal, usual bullshit. And it's very uninspiring, which is odd because it's coming from a very inspired development studio, and it just, with the failure that this game brings to to really, I guess the loss of potential is what it really is. It's now cemented in my mind that a game of this style cannot just simply have a great storyline, because if BioWare can't do it, or if they seemingly don't know how to do it, then who can? And it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. So, I mean, the game's fun to play. The actual shooting feels good. It has fast, paced combat. The enemies, the AI is stupid, to be quite honest with you, but they throw enough enemies at you at one time so that you sort of feel this amount of tension, so you can kind of forgive the dumb enemies. And then you have these like giant monsters that are kind of cool to face, but they just sort of take a bunch of ammo and then they go down, and then that's sort of it. Flying around in this city is really what's fun. This cool jungle like environments. You fly around like Iron Man. You have all this sort of freedom to sort of traverse the environments. I will say that it is a little bit underutilized. For example, you can't soar to like the very sky and like soar above mountains and all that stuff. I would have loved to see some like dogfights in the air with your suit, and you're sort of like dodging, or you're trying to take down like hovercrafts or stuff like that. And yeah, I'm not that far in the game yet. I'm probably, I would guess, almost at the halfway point, so maybe they have some epic mission where these people have like hovercrafts or something like that, and you have to like use your javelin to like board the freaking hovercraft, and it's just some epic gun battle and you have to destroy the plane or something like that. I'm saying all this cool stuff, right? And that's the potential that this game could have, but I bet you something like that is just not available in this game. At this point, I played this game for I guess 8 hours, almost 10 hours at this point, and it's been the very same thing. It's like the same 2 or 3 types of mission structures as every other game, like the Division 2 has and Destiny has, where it's sort of like, yeah, just shoot the enemies and kill them, and then yeah, you'll progress in the story. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing in that respect. I expected a little bit more, especially coming from BioWare, because these guys are masters at creating very story-driven RPGs. And it's just like I play this game and I say, wow, you got a great environment here, you got beautiful visuals, your controls are really fun, and you can obviously, create a game of this type with a character that has personality and all that stuff, and you can have dialogue options, and that's great because we haven't seen that before in a game like this, so now we know it can be done. But it's like there's like little substance to what you're doing. There's no creativity. Like the story here is just like, I don't necessarily care yet. I'm intrigued. I'm more when the characters speak. I'm more impressed by their facial animations rather than what they're actually saying coming out of their mouths. And that's basically, just to sum it up. I think Anthem here is one of the most gorgeous games, if not the most gorgeous game that I've ever played on my PC. And it's just at times baffling how they got this game to run, because it inherently looks like a next-gen title when you have everything ramped up, And, judging by the performance of this game on both PC and consoles, it's doing so much that it's not even running at a consistent frame rate like you want it to. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're sort of sitting here and you're like, okay, Anthem is sort of just, a unique tech demo, I guess, is what you can really call it, because that's really the only takeaway from the game that I've had at this point. It's a cool tech demo. It's amazing to see this game in motion when everything's ramped up, and it's running at, well, in this case 30 frames per second. Even that's impressive. And other than that, it's sort of just like, yeah, whatever, and you're not really missing out on much. So really, I mean, is Anthem worth experiencing? For me, it's like it's a bit weird. I almost want to say, that the visuals alone are just like, you have to see this thing. It's incredible. But they're charging $60 here, and this is the least BioWare game that BioWare's ever made. And so with that respect, I can say you're not really missing out on much in terms of a story structure or gameplay at all if you skip. Now, if BioWare comes out with a sequel to Anthem, or what they could do is they could take this franchise, create a multiplayer exploration format like we're seeing here in the video, and then as well offer a single player campaign like Destiny did with Destiny 2, then I actually think that they could do something incredible here, because they have the tools. The game looks great, it plays great, they have all the tools to create an amazing story-driven BioWare game. It's just, for some reason, it's almost like EA told BioWare, we want you to make a Destiny clone. We want our own version of Destiny. And unfortunately, what happened here is, I mean, they did exactly that. So it's like, okay, it's a very shallow experience from a gameplay perspective, but you sit there and you just scratch your head at the potential, and it's just like, wow, this could be incredible, but I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see if that is something. BioWare isn't really doing well, now releasing Mass Effect Andromeda to disappointment, even though I felt that game, to be honest, I'd rather play Mass Effect Andromeda than this game. But even though I felt Mass Effect Andromeda was actually pretty decent when it worked, had nothing on the original Mass Effect trilogy, but it was still a decent and really fun Mass Effect game, in my opinion. Anthem here, again, is another another slap, in the face for the BioWare development studio. And I really hope that we don't see BioWare start to slowly become similar to like DICE's situation, where it's just like shoveling out crap. Because this is one of my favorite development studios. This is a development studio that made some incredible games in the past, some really memorable, very amazing experiences. And Anthem here is anything but that, at least from everything except the visuals. So, my overall review on Anthem, I would say if you have the means to actually see this game in motion, I mean, just it really is that impressive. But no, from a gameplay perspective, you're not really missing out on much. And I would say that if you're on the fence about this game, if it's like for like less than $20, give it a go. But other than that, I'm just yeah. I'm not really going to remember this game after a while. And that's unfortunate coming from a BioWare game. It really does make me sad. So anyway, those are my impressions on Anthem. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And thank you all for watching. I will be back for more impressions later.